eyes on him again if I can possibly prevent it. It is all at an end.
Where is he?
He has vanished, and that's all I can say. And he will never again be heard of.
You seem pretty sure of him.
I am quite sure of him. I have grounds for certainty that I cannot share with anyone. But I am done with Edward Hyde, for all time, God willing.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Henry. Now, one thing more.
Yes.
Did Edward Hyde dictate the terms of your will, referring to the clause regarding your disappearance, whereby you would inherit most of your earthly possessions?
Well, I might say he indirectly influenced me.
But it's as plain as day. This man who you call a friend is a fiend who meant to murder you and inherit your fortune. You've had a fine estate.
I've had what is far more to the purpose. I've had a great lesson. Oh, God, what a lesson I've had.
At the expense of Sir Danvers' life?
You will not reveal to the courts your possession of that cane?
No, Henry. For your sake, I shan't. You may destroy it. But if it should ever be known that I was obstructing the ends of justice...
And no one will ever know.
Oh, what a night I've had. I never want to see another like it as long as I live.
Diana, what of her? Oh, she must be heartbroken.
She is almost frantic with grief. Will you see her?
Of course. We'll go to her at once.
I'll bring her in if you don't mind.
Bring her in. Is she here?
Outside waiting in my car. I asked her to let me speak with you before she came in. I'll get her.
Thank you. Thank God for a friend such as Utterson. Luckily, I went to that house in Soho last night and destroyed all my papers, so I'm safe from suspicion. Oh, God in heaven. Please, give me the courage and the strength to remain as Henry Jekyll henceforth, with Diana as my wife.
Henry.
Now, my dear, you must be brave.
My poor father. I'll never get over this. Never.
Neither will I.
Who is this girl?
Don't you remember me, sir? You chucked me out of here last night for gossiping with Bridget and Pauline about that monster.
What are you doing here now?
I brought to Henry. She saw father killed last night.
Yes, and if it's the man I think it is, it's the same one we were talking about last night. Oh, a terrible-looking man, all hunchback and everything. A regular beast. Oh, it was awful.
Why did you bring her here, Diana?
I want you to hear the whole story, just as Connie has told it's the police.
They had me there almost all night, taking my pictures and everything. Oh, gee, I was scared.
Why should we have her go over all those dreadful details again? It will only upset you.
I thought if you knew the entire story, then you might be able to help us find the fiend and bring him to justice.
I will be glad to do anything and everything I can, Diana. I was only thinking of you and what you've been through. But if you insist...
Shall I commence?
You may begin.
Well, I had been to the cinema to see Picard Chrysler in that picture. Hearts Asunder.
Enough about the picture, Connie. We've heard all about Packard Chrysler.
Yes, sir. I stopped in here to tell Bridget and Pauline about Picard Chrysler.
Get on with your story.
Well, when I returned home, that is the place where I work, I was sitting by my window in my room on the 3rd floor, dreaming about Picard Chrysler, when all of a sudden I looked out and there was this fine-looking gentleman walking along, minding his own business, when all of a sudden, up behind him came this beast, this monster, this fiend, this wretch, this...
You struck Sir Danvers with a walking stick?
Yes, sir. Sir Danvers fell, and this monster jumped on top of him and kicked him and kept beating him with this stick while he acted like someone who'd gone clear crazy.
Oh, my poor father.
Diana! I knew we should not have had this girl repeat that gruesome story. You're ill. Let me get you something.
I'm all right, Henry. Go on, Connie.
Well, then I did what Miss Diana started to do now. I fainted dead away.
If only you telephoned for the police at once.
How could I when I was passed out? I didn't come to for nearly an hour or more. By that time, the murderer had gone long ago.
And you say this man looked like a hunchback?
Yes, a terrible-looking face, and he wore an old coat that come clear to the ground and a hat pulled way over his face.
But if you were up on the 3rd floor and his hat covered his face, how could you tell what his face looked like?
It was under a street lamp, and I got darned good eyesight.
Huh. And you said the murderer left no clue whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
It's not a very comforting thought, my dear, but I'm afraid this may remain one of those unsolved mysteries.
That ain't what the police said. They said they'd find him if it took 1,000 years.
Utterson, would you mind seeing this young woman home?
Not at all.
So, I'm being chucked out again. And after I took the trouble to come here and tell you my story.
I'm not chucking you out, as you put it, but I'm very tired and upset, and so is Miss Carew. And I thank you for coming here.
Oh, that's all right. I like doing it.
Oh, good. And now, my dear, I'll take you home just as soon as Pauline has prepared us some breakfast.
I couldn't eat a thing, Henry.
But you must.
I ain't had a thing to eat all morning.
Well, you shall. Take this, Utterson, and buy the young woman a nice breakfast for all her trouble.
Gee whiz, thanks. Whenever you need me, miss, just say so. I'll be glad to help you.
Thank you, Connie. You've been splendid.
I'll notify you of any further developments, Miss Carew.
Thank you, Mr. Utterson. You've been very kind.
I'll do all I can for you within my limitations.
Will they put all those pictures they took of me in all the papers?
They certainly will.
Oh, gee, I hope they got good ones.
I'm glad you asked me to stay, Henry. I need your comfort and your protection now more than ever before.
And I need you, Diana. I need your help to give me the courage to go on to a new and better life. Let us try to forget all those horrible things that have happened and go forward together. You do care for me, don't you?
Haven't I proved it? Even to the risk of losing Father's love?
Yes, I know.
When I continued to see you and care for you against his wishes, it was the first time in my life I'd ever disobeyed him.
You mustn't reproach yourself for that, my dear. That was my fault. I should have never seen you again. But I couldn't let you go out of my life. I need you so. You are my tower of strength. The only reason I have for living. We'll be married. Now at once. And go far away to the end of the earth to try to forget the past. Will you come with me, Diana?
I can never leave this place. Not until I found my father's murderer and brought him to justice.
To seek revenge is unchristian-like.
You say that because you are what you are, Henry. A noble man with fine principles, but I cannot let this monster go unpunished.
You will gain nothing by it. Your father will not be restored to you through the punishment of some poor, unfortunate man.
Are you sympathizing with the murderer?
He's probably someone who let the worst side of his nature take complete possession of him. He is to be pitied. To forgive is godly.
But I am human, and I am determined to unravel this mystery. I will not rest until I see him standing in the scaffold. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth.
Yes, Diana.
Dr. Jekyll is taking a turn in the garden. If you gentlemen will be seated, I'll tell him you're here.
We'll wait.
I say, what's the idea of having the curtains drawn and the lamps lighted when it's broad daylight outside?
Doctor's orders, sir.
Can't we have a little sunshine in here? This place is like a morgue.
You'll have to speak to Dr. Jekyll about that when he comes in.
Have you ever heard of anything so crazy? I tell you, Inspector, I've had a funny feeling about this place. Have since the first time I came here. Now that I know it's the hiding place of that murderer, it gives me the creeps.
Are you sure you saw this man Hyde come into this house last night? We have to be sure before we accuse or even question a man of Dr. Jekyll's standing.
I've never been more certain of anything in my life. I told you the story of his cruel attack on that child in Soho, and how he paid off the child's parents to avoid arrest.
Yes, we already checked on that. Went to his house in Soho early this morning.
What did you find?
We saw his housekeeper, an old hag, who told us that he'd not been there for 2 days, which would be the night of the murder. She also said that it was the first time that he had been there in several weeks, that his habits were very irregular.
Did you search the house?
Yes. It gave every evidence of being hurriedly and recently ransacked.
And what did you find?
The most important thing seemed to be a pile of ashes in the hearth, as though a pile of papers had been burned. From the ashes, I recovered a partially burnt bank book. As soon as the bank opened this morning, I investigated and found out that there had been no recent deposits, but the last withdrawal was a check for £90.
Which was the check he gave to that poor child's parents. The balance of the £100 demanded by the father was in cash.
The bank could give me no address beyond the house in Soho, nor did they seem to know much about this man Hyde, except for what he looked like, and their description exactly matched the one given by the maid Connie, who saw Sir Danvers murdered.
And the same man that I saw come in this house last night after midnight. Did you question Hyde's housekeeper?
Yes, but she don't know nothing. But we're keeping after her, and maybe we'll get something out of her.
Dr. Jekyll will be in directly.
Oh, Pauline,
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you more about that phone call the other night. Are you sure that nobody called from this house asking for the police?
I wouldn't know, sir. If you remember Dr. Jekyll telling you that Bridget the cook had me all upset.
Maybe Bridget had good cause to be upset.
I don't know, sir. She's not here anymore, sir.
Yes, I know. I had a talk with her early this morning.
What did she say?
Oh, nothing much. Don't be alarmed, Pauline.
No, sir. Oh, here's Dr. Jekyll now.
Haha, Dr. Jekyll. Here I am like a bad penny, turning up again.
So I see. And what brings you here this time, Inspector?
Just a few things that I'd like cleared up. It won't take long. This is Mr. Enfield, Dr. Jekyll.
Richard Enfield.
That's it?
How do you do, Mr. Enfield? I've heard a great deal about you.
And I've heard a great deal more about you.
Through your cousin, Mr. Utterson. No doubt he's one of my oldest and closest friends.
So I've heard.
Will you gentlemen be seated?
Don't mind if I do. Been doing a great deal of running around this morning. Kind of tired. I've spent most of my morning in Soho.
Soho, a very quaint part of our city.
Know anybody down there?
No, I can't say that I do.
Ever heard of a man by the name of Edward Hyde?
Hyde? Edward Hyde?
That's right.
If I have, I don't seem to recall the gentleman. You're lying! I beg your pardon, Mr. Enfield.
Take it easy, Mr. Enfield. Let's all sit down and talk this thing over and not get excited.
I'm sorry.
You were saying, Inspector?
This man, Hyde, he lives in that crooked street in Soho, in one of the oldest houses you'd ever like to see. Why, it's got no windows in front and just a little door and a little latch in the front.
What makes you think I'm interested in this, sir?
If you pardon me for mentioning it, sir, but you and Miss Carew are, well, sweet on each other. Am I right?
Miss Carew and I are to be married.
I don't believe it!
Why should you doubt it? Yes, Inspector.
You gave me your word the morning after the murder of Sir Danvers that you would do everything you could to help me find his murderer.
And I'll do anything I can within reason. Miss Diana is greatly distressed and is anxious for the murderer to be brought to justice.
Naturally. No doubt you've read in the papers the description of the murderer as furnished by the maid named Connie, who saw the foul deed done.
Connie herself was here and told me the whole story.
Why should Connie come see you?
She was brought here by Miss Diana, who wished me to hear the accurate details from Connie herself before the newspapers distorted them for the sake of a good story.
Well, that description matches exactly a man named Hyde, who lives in this funny house in Soho.
I congratulate you, Inspector, for having unraveled this mystery. I knew Scotland Yard wouldn't fail. Have you notified Miss Carew?
Not so fast, Dr. Jekyll. We haven't caught him yet.
But if you know where he lives, that should be comparatively easy.
He seems to have disappeared.
Huh.
We were hoping that you might be able to help us at this point.
I? Why? How would I know where to find a man I don't even know?
You're lying, Dr. Jekyll! You do know him! You are shielding the murderer of Sir Danvers Carew!
You must be mad. Do you think I would shield a man who murdered the father of the woman I love?
It does seem a little hard to believe.
Why, it's the most preposterous thing I've heard of in my entire life.
I know this man, Hyde. I've seen him and talked with him.
Then it seems to me that you would be the one to question, not I. Are you in the habit of making friends with such men?
The inspector knows how I met Hyde. I saw him commit an act of cruelty in Soho about a month ago, and I saw him come in this house last night after midnight.
Indeed. And what fiction magazine do you write for?
Don't try to evade. I know what I'm talking about. I was passing this house on my way home from the club last night when I saw Hyde enter through your front gates. I had the taxi stop, and I jumped out and ran up through your garden just in time to see Hyde enter through those windows. The room was in darkness, but in a second, I saw a light come on in that room.
My laboratory?
I ran to the windows just in time to see you pull back the curtains.
I?
Yes, the room was flooded with light and I could see everything plainly.
And where was Hyde?
He wasn't there.
You never told me that part of it before. How long was it between when you saw Hyde come into this house and when Dr. Jekyll pulled back the curtains of his laboratory?
It couldn't have been more than a minute.
Dr. Jekyll couldn't have made off with Mr. Hyde in that short a time. He's not a magician.
Hardly. Don't you see, Inspector, how ridiculous his story is?
But I tell you, I saw Hyde come in this house last night. I'm not crazy, and I wasn't drunk.
And now, Inspector, if you listen to me, I can explain the reason behind Mr. Enfield's accusation. Before I met Miss Carew, Mr. Enfield had been paying her a great deal of attention. As a matter of fact, he asked her to marry him, but she refused.
Oh, I'm beginning to see.
But when I came along, she broke off with Enfield entirely. He tried repeatedly to renew their friendship, but she was firm in her determination to marry me.
Oh man, old enough to be her father, I told her how ridiculous it was.
That was for Miss Carew to decide, not you. And so you see, Inspector, this fantastic tale, this trumped-up bit of ridiculous fiction, was Mr. Enfield's means of retaliation.
That is a lie, and I will prove that you're concealing this man, Hyde, even if I have to watch this house 24 hours a day by myself. Good morning, Inspector. If you need me, you'll know where to find me.
Well, does seem a little like jealousy, doesn't it?
I've never seen a more obvious case.
Just the same, for safety's sake, for your safety, I'm gonna have this house watched night and day. Could be this monster has designs on your life.
Well, I hardly think so, Inspector. I have no known enemies.
Neither had Sir Danvers, as far as we can find out. It may be that this man Hyde is prowling around this neighbourhood. Why, your cook Bridget paid us a call. She swears that she saw a man of Hyde's description.
You mustn't pay any attention to Bridget. As I told you the other night, she's an excitable Irish woman, and you know just how excitable the Irish can be.
Yes, indeed I do, sir. Well, I'm sorry again for having bothered you. But Mr. Enfield's story was mighty convincing.
No doubt.
And he did set us on the right track about that house in Soho, which is being watched, same as I have this place watched. Can't be too careful.
And if I should see anyone who looks like this man, Hyde, I'll let you know immediately. You can rely on me.
Thanks, Dr. Jekyll. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Inspector.
There's just one more thing. I checked with the operator about that phone call that was supposed to have been made from this house the night of the murder, and she swears by all that's holy that she was wide awake and wasn't dreaming, that somebody just kept screaming and yelling for the police.
And she's right. She's absolutely right.
Why, I thought you said that.
Well, after you left, I questioned both Pauline and Bridget, and I finally got Bridget to confess that she had made the telephone call. She fancied she had seen or heard prowlers and yelled for the police. I discharged her immediately for having you come here on a fool's errand.
So that's who it was, eh?
Yes.
The operator also said that the receiver was off the hook for hours and that she was unable
But you
to...
saw the receiver on the hook with your own eyes, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Or I think I did. Just as Mr. Enfield thought. Well, just the same, I'll have my men keep a sharp eye on this place. Good morning, Dr. Jekyll. Good morning.
The police are closing in on me. Enfield saw Hyde come in here last night. The same Edward Hyde who comes upon me without warning these days, no matter how hard I try to fight him off. My house is being watched, and I have but one potion left. When that has been used, Hyde could not go out to obtain more drugs. He would be captured by the police. The police! What do I see? Hyde being dragged to the scaffold. A rope round his neck. No! No! But I am not Edward Hyde! I am Henry Jekyll! But for how long? That fiend may come upon me at any moment. I must have a trusted friend to obtain drugs for me when I can no longer get them myself. Lanyon. Dr. Lanyon? I'll bind him by his professional honor to secrecy. God. He must come to me at once. Dear Lanyon.
is Dr. Jekyll?
I haven't seen him since supper, sir.
But he's expecting me. He wrote me a letter asking me to be here not later than 10 o'clock.
I know, sir. He told me this morning that he had written you and that when you came to show you in here and tell you to wait.
It all seems very odd. His letter was very strange, and this most unusual hour for a visit. I can't figure it out, Pauline.
He's been acting very strange lately. He's always been a peculiar man, but lately it's getting worse and worse. All day long he's been acting like a madman. I couldn't do anything with him.
Where is he now?
Well, that's it. I don't know.
Is he in the house?
Well, I don't know. I think so. Well, somebody's in there.
What are you talking about, Pauline?
Well, he went in there right after supper, and he was acting in a way that I'd never seen before.
How was he acting?
Nervous, twitching, almost hysterical.
It couldn't be that Sir Danvers' death has upset him to that extent, though it was a dreadful shock.
I don't think so, sir. Miss Diana telephoned earlier this evening, and he wouldn't even come out to answer the phone.
Have they quarreled?
Not that I know of, sir. But it was when I knocked on the door of the laboratory to call him to the phone that I got scared.
Why?
Oh, he was weeping and moaning, and when I told him that Miss Diana wanted to speak with him, he yelled, "Get away from that door! I will see no one or speak to no one but Lanyon."
Oh, that's strange.
But it was his voice that frightened me. It was changed, completely changed. It wasn't his voice at all.
Oh, that's probably just your imagination.
Oh, don't you think I know Dr. Jekyll's voice after 20 years?
Yes, you should. Are you sure he's in there alone?
Oh, sir, I'm not even sure it's him. What are we going to do about him?
Just leave it to me, Pauline. I'll have a talk with him.
Oh, sir, he's never listened to you. You've never agreed about anything.
Yes, well, perhaps for the first time I'll be able to persuade him to stop this infernal work he's been doing for years.
I hope so.
I'll let him know I'm here.
Who's there?
You see, Dr. Lanyon, you see, that's not his voice. That's not Dr. Jekyll's voice.
It's Lanyon.
Are you alone?
Pauline is with me.
Send that old harridan away!
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
She's gone.
Then wait for me!
Dear Lanyon, you are my oldest friend, and I call upon you for aid. My life, my honor, my reason are all at your mercy. If you fail me tonight, I am lost. I want you to postpone all other engagements for tonight and be at my house not later than 10 o'clock. Pauline will admit you, and then you are to be left alone in my living room. If I am not there when you arrive, you must wait for what seems to have taken complete possession of me. What seems to have taken complete possession of me?
Dr. Lanyon, don't shrink away from me, my dear fellow. I can't be as bad as all that.
Who are you?
I am a friend? Nay, I should say a part of our Dr. Jekyll. That part which seems to have taken complete possession of him.
Your name?
That doesn't matter. I'm here at the insistence of Dr. Jekyll. Pray, be seated, Dr. Lanyon, and don't stare so!
Where is Henry Jekyll? In there?
You will find no one in there.
Then where is he?
You will learn presently. In the meantime, we will talk. Being a reputable physician, you are no doubt acquainted with the drug firm of Messrs. Moore.
Yes, but I don't
You will
understand.
take this to Moore's and have them give you the drugs that Dr. Jekyll desires. You must not fail him. He is depending on you to do this for him.
For more of his infernal experiments, I presume.
Which you have always termed scientific balderdash.
and which Henry Jekyll has perfected only too well.
I don't believe that any living man could perfect or put into practice some of Jekyll's fantastic theories.
Would you believe that I am Henry Jekyll, and that Henry Jekyll is me?
Sir, whoever you are an imposter. Either you tell me where Dr. Jekyll is, or I will telephone the police.
No, not the police!
Then you are an imposter.
First, you must promise me that you will obtain those drugs for Dr. Jekyll, and then I shall prove to you just who and what I am. Do you promise?
Yes, I promise.
You see this? A liquid of bright green. It's the lust of the compound that I possess. Do you wish me to prove to you that man is not truly one, but truly two? If you choose, a new province of knowledge shall be laid open to you, here and now.
What do you propose to do?
Blast your sight by a prodigy to stagger the unbelief of Satan. Shall I do it?
Yes. Yes, go on.
And now swear by your professional honor that this will remain a secret until your dying day.
I swear it.
And now, Dr. Lanyon, you, who have grovelled in the ditch of unbelief, you, who have so long been bound to the most narrow and material of views, you, who have denied the virtues of transcendental medicine, you, who have derided your superiors, behold the man who now stands before you, Edward Hyde, wanted for the murder of Sir Danvers Carew.
Edward Hyde?
But wait, my friend.
Doesn't seem to do any good. He won't answer.
Perhaps he's not in there.
He's in there all right. Pauline knows he is, although she hasn't seen him for almost 2 weeks.
I've telephoned and written. I've heard no word until the Sun came today. You may read it.
My dear Diana, you must not be surprised, nor should you doubt my affection if you never see me or hear from me again. Why do you suppose he wrote such a thing to you?
I have only one explanation to offer. I'm beginning to believe Richard Enfield.
Richard?
Your cousin. He called on me 2 weeks ago.
What did he tell you?
He said that Henry is concealing in this house the murder of my father.
What?
Richard swears he saw Edward Hyde enter this house.
It's the most fantastic thing I've ever heard. Whatever has gotten into Richard?
Of course, I laughed at him. I told him never to even suggest such a thing again. I regarded his statement as envy. Richard and I were very close before Henry, and I just thought that perhaps...
Yes, I know, and that's probably the only reason he had to make such an absurd statement. Surprised Richard would stoop to such a level.
But this long silence of Henry's, this mysterious self-isolation, I'm beginning to wonder if there's something in what Richard said.
That's absolutely ridiculous, Miss Carew, and I shall prove to you how wrong you are. I shall speak with Richard about even mentioning the name of Edward Hyde to you. You should have had more consideration for your feelings.
You rang, sir.
Yes, Pauline. Can you tell me if Dr. Jekyll is in there alone?
Oh, yes, sir, quite alone.
You're sure?
Absolutely sure.
But you haven't seen him for 2 weeks, which means you haven't been in the laboratory. For all you know, he could be concealing someone in there.
That's not possible, Miss Diana. I've tiptoed into this room at all hours of the day and night, and I have listened outside that door, and I haven't heard the sound of a voice, not even his own.
And he hasn't seen anyone at all during the past 2 weeks?
Not a soul. The night Dr. Lanyon was here, I thought I heard a strange voice coming from in there, but I was mistaken. No, he's alone, and he's all alone, and I'm worried about him.
What do you mean? What, do you think he's been met with foul play?
No, he's alive, all right. Because he eats the food that I leave outside the door on his tray, and then he leaves me written notices when he's finished. I leave his mail and his newspapers out there also, but he won't come out to get them until he's sure I've gone. No, he's alive, all right, but I'm afraid he's lost his mind.
What?
Oh, no.
I think it might be the shock of Dr. Lanyon's death that's done it. If you remember, he was found dead in his study. Well, that was the morning after Dr. Lanyon was here.
Do you suppose there's a connection between Dr. Lanyon's visit here and his death?
Oh, no. The doctors diagnosed his death as due to a peculiar sort of sudden paralysis brought on by a great shock.
And there's something else. Something I haven't told a soul.
What is it?
Well, you'll both have to give me your sacred word that under no circumstances will you breathe a word of it.
I promise.
I swear it.
Well, the morning after Dr. Lanyon was here, I came in to straighten up the room, as I always do, and I found an envelope on the floor, addressed to the Messrs. Mall.
Who are they?
Well, they're chemists and druggists. When Dr. Jekyll wouldn't come out, I left the envelope on his tray with his food. And when I came back later, he had left me a note to deliver that same envelope to Dr. Lanyon. It was very confusing for me. So I did leave it, and I left it, and I left the newspaper with his news of Dr. Lanyon's death. Oh, then he was moaning and weeping like his heart was going to break. And since then, as I've said, there hasn't been a sound.
My poor Henry.
And what convinces me even more that there's something wrong with his mind is the way he's been leaving me written messages to go to every wholesale chemist in town.
What's this?
Chemists?
What for?
For some kind of drugs. What they're for, I do not know, but Dr. Jekyll must want them very badly. Here, maybe you can make something of this, Mr. Utterson. I delivered this just yesterday to the Messrs. Mall.
Dr. Jekyll presents his compliments to the Messrs. Ma and assures them that the last sample was impure and quite useless for his present purpose. Dr. Jekyll purchased a large quantity from the Messrs. Ma some time ago and begs them to search carefully, and should any of the same quality be left, to give it to the bearer without question. Expense is no consideration. The importance of this to Dr. Jekyll cannot be described. For God's sake, send me some of the last. Did you get the drug, Paul?
No. The man at Ma's was very angry, and he threw the letter back at me like it was so much dirt. That's how I happened to have it.
What do you make of this, Mr. Utterson?
All I can think of is that Henry is suffering from some sort of cerebral disease and is aware of it. He hopes to get help from these drugs. I'll keep this letter, Paul.
Yes, sir, but remember, not a word to anyone.
You have our promise.
I must see him. We have to find a way to get into the laboratory, even if we have to break down the door.
That will not be necessary, Diana.
Dr. Jekyll.
Henry, you're ill.
Yes, I have changed. I've been, very ill.
Oh, Dr. Jekyll, if only you had allowed me to come in.
I'll be all right, Pauline. Don't worry about me.
You must let me know she went to help.
I'm afraid there's nothing you can do, Diana. This isn't a bodily ailment, it's the mind.
Why haven't you written or sent me word?
If you don't mind, Diana, I'd like to have a talk with Utterson, alone. Will you wait outside with Pauline? I'll send for you as soon as I finish.
But I don't want to leave you, Henry. I need to talk to you, and
I think you'd better, Miss Carew.
All right. But you won't be long, will you? There's so much I want to talk to you about.
shan't be long, my dear.
For God's sake, old man. Tell me quickly, what's the matter with you? Why
You
are you...
will hear everything, my friend. There isn't much time left.
What do you mean?
In my will that you dropped for me, I made Edward Hyde my beneficiary should anything happen to Dr. Jekyll, you remember?
Yes.
You see, I feared that Hyde would absorb Jekyll to such an extent that there'd be no turning back. And what I have feared is coming true.
I don't understand.
I mean, Utterson, that I am Edward Hyde as well as Henry Jekyll.
What are you saying, Henry? Have you gone completely out of your mind?
No, my mind is particularly clear at the moment. Early in my life, I learned to recognize the thorough and primitive duality in man. Man is not truly one, but truly two. I began to dwell in pleasure on the thought of the separation of the good and evil elements in man. If each, I told myself, could be housed in separate identities, then life would be relieved of all that was unbearable. The unjust might go his way, delivered from the remorse of his upright twin, and the just could walk securely on his upward path, no longer exposed to disgrace by the hands of his evil twin. Finally, a light began to shine on the subject from my laboratory table. I devoted my entire time to what Lanyon always termed scientific balderdash. After long, weary, painstaking years, I at last managed to compound a drug which I believed would completely erase the identity of Dr. Jekyll and substitute a second form in countenance, one which bore the stamp of the lower elements of my soul.
And you put this theory into practice?
After much deliberation.
But you risked death.
I knew that! But the temptation of discovery so singular and profound at last overcame the suggestions of alarm. I had long since prepared my tincture. Then late one night, in the glow of courage, I drank off the potion. The most racking pangs ensued, a grinding in the bones, a deadly nausea. But then these agonies began swiftly to subside, and I experienced an indescribably new sensation. I felt reckless, wicked, fiendishly, and delightfully evil. I looked in the mirror, and there, for the first time, I beheld Edward Hyde.
Incredible.
I knew you would think so. But there it was before my eyes, an almost unbelievable transformation. I was fascinated by the revelation. But, fearing discovery, I drank again of the potion, and once more felt the racking pangs of dissolution. And there, before my eyes, stood Henry Jekyll. My new power tempted me until I fell into slavery. I had but to drink the cup, to doff at once the body of Jekyll and assume the body of Hyde. I smiled at the idea. It was humorous to me at the time. To keep my identity separate, I took and furnished that house in Soho to which Hyde was tracked by the police and engaged as a housekeeper a creature I knew to be silent and unscrupulous. I next drew up my will, to which you so much objected, so that if anything befell me in the person of Dr. Jekyll, I could enter on that of Hyde without suffering pecuniary loss.
Now I understand.
As Edward Hyde, I could enjoy all the evil pleasures of mankind without fear of detection. For a second or two, I could rid myself of Edward Hyde and become the respected Henry Jekyll once again. I enjoyed my dual nature to the hilt. But then I met Diana, and life took on a new meaning for me. I began to regret the existence of Hyde, and I determined to rid myself of him for all time. But it was too late. Hyde was gradually growing stronger. He would come upon me without the use of the potion. I would go to sleep as Jekyll and wake up as Hyde. I was losing my original self and becoming more and more incorporated with my worst nature.
And it was you who murdered Sir Danvers Carew.
No. It was Edward Hyde. It was Edward Hyde because Sir Danvers opposed the union of Diana and me.
What of Dr. Lanyon? Did Hyde have anything to do with his death?
The police were searching for Hyde. Your cousin Enfield saw Hyde enter this house, but when he looked through the windows of my laboratory, he saw Henry Jekyll. And my supply of drugs was running low. I was down to the last potion. And so I sent for Lanyon to beg him to obtain drugs for me. But by the time he arrived here, Hyde had overtaken me. So with that last potion, I showed him the complete transformation to Henry Jekyll, and then it was that shock which killed him.
And you have 2 murders on your conscience.
No, not my conscience! It was Edward Hyde, not Henry Jekyll.
Why have you remained in your laboratory for the past 2 weeks?
I was without drugs, and I was afraid to go with them for fear that Hyde would overtake me. My house is being watched by Scotland Yard. So I've sent Pauline everywhere, trying to get the proper drugs, but the ones she was able to obtain were impure and useless. So for 2 long, horrible weeks, I have fought off the return of Hyde. But I can't do it much longer. He is liable to return at any moment.
Henry, there must be something we could do. We'll get the best doctors and...
Doctors? Oh no. My dear artisan, I am beyond any medical aid. There's no hope for me. I have created a Frankenstein which has destroyed me. I've omitted that stupid Inspector Newcomen and his equally stupid henchmen, and I'll continue to outwit them. They'll never be able to find Edward Hyde. They'll never be able to enjoy the spectacle of Hyde dangling from a rope on the gallows.
Henry, you wouldn't.
I don't think that would be necessary. Artisan, I cannot go on this way much longer. The end is not far away.
No, Henry, there must be something we could do.
There is nothing. And it is better so. But, before anything happens to me, I want you to promise me something. Because of me, you've kept all knowledge of Edward Hyde from the police, and at the risk of your own reputation and career.
Yes, I have, and only because of you.
All knowledge of Edward Hyde must die when Henry Jekyll is gone. You must never reveal to a living soul anything I've told you. Do you promise?
I promise.
And Diana, will you look out for her?
Yes, Henry.
And bring Enfield and Diana together again. My coming between them was a ghastly mistake. Sir Danvers was right. He was very right.
Will you see Diana as promised?
On one condition. That she promises to leave me as soon as I bid her.
I'll tell her.
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God, please. Look into my heart and forgive my sins. It was wrong of me to tempt you. Forgive me. Forgive me. Oh, what's this I feel? It's that demon Hyde. He's coming upon me. No. No one shall ever again look upon the face of Edward Hyde. I've killed 2 people already. And I can kill a 3rd. Forgive me! Father, forgive me!
Henry, Miss Addison! Henry?
max of. They're gonna come to your house. All right. So if you have this ticket, you gotta come up here and get it. Okay. 701-407.
I got that one actually.
Nobody knows the prizes. They don't want to come up here.
They don't.
They're just afraid of us invading the house.
At the beginning of the night.
I guess it was. They're like,
I guess we have a winner.
Aww.
Oh.
Do we have
I was
winners?
gonna say, if no one plays, does that mean we're losing?
All right. Nothing. I'm a good boy. Just so you know, I've done 9 shows, and I haven't been able to do those 9 shows without this beautiful lady right here. I gotta give her the props. I gotta give her the acknowledgement because she works so hard, and then she stays up all day long, and so. But this is something that needs to be done that I haven't been able to do.